Rescue efforts are underway in Venezuela following two powerful back-to-back earthquakes. At least 164 people died and nearly 1,000 others are hurt. The U.S. is among the nations stepping up to help.
Rescue teams in hard hats and bike helmets are carefully searching collapsed buildings in Venezuela, trying to reach people who may be buried alive. Video shows survivors holding each other on the outskirts of Caracas as a pair of powerful earthquakes leveled neighborhoods. This video captures the moment the ceiling at Simón Bolívar International Airport gave way, sending travelers scrambling. The U.S. Geological Survey says a magnitude 7.2 earthquake hit about 100 miles west of Caracas Wednesday evening, followed less than a minute later by a magnitude 7.5 tremor.
The house in some moments was like jumping.
Journalist Tony Frangi Mawan was headed to watch the World Cup when he became trapped in his building's elevator.
I felt it moving and then moving really fast. We just hope for the best, and I started to pray and to press every button, waiting for it to open up.
Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez has declared a state of emergency, saying the focus is on saving lives. While some people have been found in the rubble, the UN says the level of devastation is overwhelming local authorities.
You got to get people out of that rubble within 48 hours or they won't survive.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says search and rescue teams from California and Virginia have been deployed to the region.
They have a bunch of collapsed buildings, and so they'll need a lot of help in terms of digging through that.
The U.S. is also sending medical resources and humanitarian aid. Cristian Benavides, CBS News.
All right, we had to bring in our experts here, our scientists, to talk about this. Tim, I'm just so fascinated that such a huge earthquake can occur less than a minute after a previous one.
Yeah, so if you were watching the news yesterday, right around 6:30, we were telling you about this. And at that point, I had said, hey, there was one big earthquake that hit Venezuela. What we found out shortly after, as they analyzed it further, there were two distinct ones. And this is something that can happen. I didn't even know about this. It's called a doublet earthquake. You get one and then another one. Sometimes it's minutes later, sometimes it's an hour later. This was 1 minute apart. So you had a 7.2 and then a 7.5, which that sounds just a little bit stronger. It's actually a lot stronger. That's the way the scale works. So horrible, it makes the damage worse. And you just got to feel for these people seeing these scenes to get hit twice just so short of a time. It's kind of like if you would take a stick and you break it in two pieces. It's kind of related. It's the same stick, but you're fracturing it once and then you're fracturing it again.
That is fascinating. Alex, how common is it for earthquakes to happen in a place like Venezuela and even here?
Well, along that plate boundary, which is a major tectonic plate boundary between the Caribbean plate and the South American plate, especially on the eastern side, they happen a lot, and they're relatively small. But on the western side, especially where this earthquake occurred, they actually got stuck. And there was a Penn State paper that 5 years ago was worried about a major earthquake in this area and the economic catastrophe that would come if it did indeed strike. And unfortunately, that's what happened.
Boy, unbelievable. Well, we got to talk about local weather now. Fortunately, no earthquakes to talk about, but it's the heat coming back.